Stand up, raise up your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. Please be seated. Yesterday, before my mother headed back to Portland, she took me outside to show me how to prune these amazing blueberry bushes that the former owners of our house left behind, thank God. And as she showed me how to prune them, what she said is, you can tell the dead branch from the living branch. The dead looks dead. It's woody, it's brown. The living ones, the fresh ones, are reddish. And if you look closely, there's a small reddish bud just where you should trim the blueberry, trim the branch. She said that blueberries create their leaves and the beginnings of fruit. They actually create them at the end of the summer, the end of their growing season. After all those beautiful berries have been picked or eaten by the birds, and those beautiful red leaves have fallen off, what is left behind are these small little buds, where you know that next summer there will be fruit. Blueberries winter with those buds attached to the plant. We have begun Advent. We are heading into the deepest and darkest part of winter. I had to scrape ice off my truck this morning. Note to self, I need to go get a longer scraper. That was unexpected. So much of what is around us feels unexpected. It feels terrifying. The seas roar, the waves crash. These words of Jesus said just before he heads into his passion in Jerusalem, recorded by Luke, passed down to us, describe a world full of fear, where the unexpected is happening all the time around us, and the human response to the unexpected is fear. Friends, we hate change. We are afraid of new things, of those things that are unstable. We live in a world where there is reason to fear. There is reason to be afraid of what is before us. Friends, we have always lived in a world where there is reason to fear, where there is something before us that is unexpected and dangerous for some. Sometimes for all. And it is so easy to rest in that fear, to spin and dwell on that fear and let that fear grow and become more. Friends, we feel it in the world around us. We feel it in this parish. Luke, unlike the other gospel writers, does not really talk about why the world is in tumult and fear. He doesn't seem to be particularly worried about connecting it to events of the day, the destruction of the temple, because all of the Gospels were written after this amazing, horrible, awful change that fundamentally changed how Judaism was practiced forever. Luke doesn't make that connection. He doesn't seem to make a connection to particular Roman rulers around him. He doesn't really talk about why the world is in tumult. What he talks about is how to live in a world full of tumult. Friends, we look at the world around us and we are struck by fear, and the question for us is, how do we live in this world? Stand up, raise your heads, for your redemption is drawing near. That's how. That's how we stand up. We raise our heads and we look at the redemption is drawing near. And if it sounds a little bit strange or weird to look at the Son of Man coming in clouds and glory, which is Luke's reference to the ascension, the end of the story, birth, life, crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, if we feel a little strange looking out into the clouds, waiting for Jesus to come, he gives us something much more concrete and much more specific. Friends, look at the fig tree or the blueberry bush. And look at the buds that it sets out at the end of the summer. As the days lengthen and the leaves fall off of trees, the blueberry bush is busy getting ready for the fruit that's going to show up next summer. Friends, there is so much fruit in our lives. There is so much fruit in this parish. I have had reason to spend time thinking and reflecting in this season of stewardship and the beginning of Advent. What is the fruit in this place? Friends, we have a young adults group that has chosen to meet regularly for Advent because they want a deeper engagement with their faith. Apparently, in that conversation, they talked enough about Advent that they were debating the color that Christ Church chooses for Advent. Blue, not purple. We are working with an organization, Power of Two, that does direct care for the unhoused and might be a partner for our future ministry at Christ Church. Our community service leadership team, our outreach team, that's what other Episcopal churches call it, continues to feed people, to communicate with prisoners, provide gifts for children through all of your work, and explore new ways to engage our community by visiting and learning from other ministries and organizations around us. The choir continues to sound fabulous under the direction of Paul. Our spiritual formation has moved from once a month to every Sunday. And the average number of folks that have attended is double the previous attendance. That tells me that there is a hunger for that kind of conversation in this parish. Our liturgies are beautiful, supported by an amazing team of people who create wreaths and make sure that the candles are in place and fill the oil and to make sure that all of the vestments are set out and beautiful. Friends, our greening ministry continues to think carefully about how to use our land here. How do we understand the environment and care for around us, and what are the ways that we as a congregation may need to advocate for our beloved sibling, the creation around us? Friends, we have a community garden that's going to grow, and we got money from the city of Tacoma to help us build that community garden. Again, another place where we are partnering with Food is Free Tacoma, a secular organization, where greening and our value for creation and our care for grounds and facilities come together with outreach, our desire for justice to ensure that people have food. We have active lay leadership that is taking pastoral care, frankly, in a direction that I did not expect. Making sure that everybody in the congregation is going to get a card to say that we are praying for you. And that those of us who are sick and unwell will especially get cards. And so many of you have said, I'd like to write some of those cards. Maybe there'll be enough that people get 2 cards in a year. So many of you have asked, how can I use my gifts to support this parish? What can I do? Don't worry, I'm coming up with a list. Folks continue to engage in thoughtful and deep conversations over both books of rigorous theology and just books that bring us joy. Gathering together in community. We have the opportunity to pray every morning, not every morning, 3 times a week, in morning prayer, wherever you're at, because we have a daily office team committed to praying the daily office and making sure that we can gather once a month over a meal together as a part of that daily office and evening prayer. We continue to reach out to parents to give them a break with our first Friday night out, where we engage children in the neighborhood around us. And just so you know, Peace Lutheran knows about it now, and they're kind of interested because they do something earlier on every Friday, but some of those parents would really like a break in the evening. And so some of their kids may come over. I have met regularly over the course of this year with new folks, mostly coffee, a beer here and there. Friends, there are so many new people who are not just showing up, but staying. Something is happening in this parish. There are buds on our blueberry branches. I know that right now, with all of the change around us and with a budget that is going to be different, not just next year, but for years to come, it feels terrifying to us. But the truth is, there is fruit in this parish. There are buds ready to burst into beautiful leaves and big fat blueberries. I have no idea what it's going to look like next summer. I have no idea what it's going to look like 2, 3, or 10 summers from now. I hope to see it. There are buds in this place. Friends, stand up. Lift up your heads. For the redemption of God is already in our midst. Amen.